Hello, everyone. My name is Blake Butler, and I'm the Executive Director of the North Carolina Industrial Hemp Association. Thank you for joining Carolina Hemp Company today on this very special day, a celebration of not only the company, but what they've been able to achieve within the hemp industry. For those of you that I haven't met, I know I've met a few franchise owners and, of course, all those within Carolina Hemp Company. Let me tell you a real important story in the history of North Carolina hemp. One day, Brian Bullman, who I'm sure you all know, called our public relations firm and said he was having some difficulty keeping an energy drink on the shelves. A rogue sheriff from a far western county was taking it off the shelves. So we ate lunch with Brian downtown at Creperie Bouchon, and we found out that the real reason that the sheriff was taking it off the shelves was the five-fingered leaf was on the side of that can. And the drink was called Canna Energy. And that began my education and exploration in what was the deal with hemp. I mean, we couldn't grow it in our state, and Brian was trying to bring in fully compliant legal products into our state to sell, and they were being demonized. So Brian really started me in the hemp industry as I began to think, how can I stay in my lane and what role can I play with North Carolina going forward? So at that same lunch, Brian told me about a gathering that was happening down in Raleigh, some attorneys and some other hemp activists that were getting together to discuss starting to help the legislators write the pilot program for the first state's hemp pilot program, much like Kentucky's and Colorado's. So I drove down to Raleigh. I was part of that event and learned a great deal. But on the way home, I started thinking of what could we do in Asheville to raise the awareness of hemp, as these guys were getting the legislators and others aligned to legalize hemp for cultivation. And this was back in 2014, 2015. And so we came together once again, Brian, myself, Jill Lieberman, my business partner, a few others, and thought of this idea, HempX Asheville. And we made a great splash the first year. I believe we had over 1,500 people there. It was a free event, so of course we lost money. But Highland Brewing Company was nice enough to let us stage it there, as long as we kept it wide open for the public. And I believe we educated a lot of people on hemp, and then it became legal as far as the legislation was passed in the fall. And Brian and I both got a little bit of street cred for staging HempX Asheville, and all of a sudden it was legal to grow. And he took that vision for what he was doing early on in single products and then grew it into Carolina Hemp Company, what it was and is today. But at that point, at that juncture, that's when it was really important, as we all had to choose what we were going to do to even raise the bar more when it came to hemp and educate as many people along the way as we could. And so Carolina Hemp Company was that first company in our state to go out there and plant and make videos and educate folks on what they were doing, and taking what they planted, processing it locally, keeping it in with a 50 to 75 mile loop, and creating some quality products with it. So Brian had taken, once again, just the Canna Energy drink from Canna Energy into now an operation, not only having a part in growing hemp, but creating products and a company, Carolina Hemp Company. Now, on my side, I was still out there fighting the battle from a public relations standpoint, because the messaging was all over the place here in our state and all across the South. I continued to stage events, Hemp in the Holler up in Kentucky, which I believe Brian and Carolina Hemp Company were at both of, Hemp in the Holler 1 and Hemp in the Holler 2. And in the Industrial Hemp Summit up in Danville, Virginia, which is more like a B2B event. But the reason I tell you all of that is we all kept in touch with each other as we knew that the professionalism in our industry, and especially in our state, was going to make a difference. And so we continued to talk about who and what did we need to do to raise that bar, to continue to grow that network. And Carolina Hemp Company has always been one of those companies, as I started to think, like, what could I do differently? And Brian and I talked a few years ago, and it was time for me to start seeing how I could get back involved in Raleigh and help. So the position for the executive director of the North Carolina Industrial Hemp Association became available, and I took it, and it's been great ever since. Now, I can tell you that we've had our challenges, and I'm sure you read about it all last year. And I'm going to use smokable hemp as the example of how our professionalism and a company like Carolina Hemp Company helped us navigate those waters. First and foremost, we all believe, and Brian and I really believe, that after the Farm Bill was signed, if it's 0.3% THC or less, it is an agricultural commodity. It is compliant. So when our state, North Carolina, came at us with all sorts of reasons that we needed to ban smokable hemp in our state, we just fought those battles one by one. The first thing that we were demonized for, of course, is smokable hemp being a gateway drug. Without any research, because it looks and it smells like marijuana, law enforcement and others made up a narrative that surely it's got to be a gateway drug. Now, we all know, folks, that that's just not true. And what we did is educated law enforcement along the way. Brian, I think, drove 6-7 times to all these Senate committee meetings and House committee meetings. And we reminded him is we're not trying to get anybody high. That it doesn't matter if you take this flower, you smoke it, you sprinkle it on your head, or you stuff it in your shoe. If it's 0.3% THC or less, it is compliant. So these folks, your customers, are using this flower, this smokable form, as another delivery method of CBD, another natural relief. A story that really stands out is a law enforcement officer asking us, and I've told this at our association meeting many times before, hey guys, I don't get it. How come somebody can just buy a marijuana joint for $1, but they'll buy a hemp pre-roll for $4? And the answer is very simple. That customer is not trying to get high, looking for that relief with a quality product. So that whole narrative, and having a company like Carolina Hemp Company testify right beside me, helped, because that's what this company's committed to. And we had to show them down in Raleigh that we weren't just a bunch of Cheech and Chong activists that didn't have professionalism as our focus of trying to make a difference. Because we know if we do this right, we're going to make a difference in so many lives in small towns and places that hadn't really had a shot in the economic arm in a while. And for us, as the North Carolina Industrial Hemp Association, and for Carolina Hemp Company, as one of those first members as we grew the association, we're excited to announce that we're going to transition into the Southeast Hemp Association over the next month. And this is great for so many of you guys, because I can come to South Carolina, Georgia, if needed, and as we expand and try to create better networks of communication, and Carolina Hemp Company throughout these different states can be part of that platform, a part of an operation that's doing it right that we can turn to. And as we come together, even more of us as the Southeast Hemp Association, be a vital part of remembering that as long as we stay together and professional, we can overcome anything that's going to be thrown at us. And there's plenty more that's going to be thrown at us. We have no clarity or guidance from the FDA. They're just going to drag their feet. So we definitely need that. We need more time here in North Carolina for our state plan. So, you know, it's one of these things that there's people are walking in pins and needles all over the place. But you know what's missing in even this great pause, as we're going to call it, is our products. And I know they're out there. And this company is a great example of having products out there helping people in different communities. But I challenge each one of you to this. And I'm going to take it back to where I am right now. And where are you close to? Asheville, North Carolina. And how the craft brewery industry came together and led by a few as competitors, but they still build up community. And by building up community and having beer festivals and doing all these things in Asheville and surrounding Western North Carolina, they attracted some really big craft brewery companies, if you think through it. They had got New Belgium to come over here, Sierra Nevada, Oscar Blues. These weren't the Budweisers of the world. These were considered these craft brewery companies on the West Coast, but they gravitated towards all the creative things that were happening out here, all the original beers that were being produced out here. But along the way, that industry built up consumer loyalty. And the consumer has been there for the craft brewery industry ever since. And we all need to remember that our products should be in everyone's daily regimen right now, especially during this great pause, to help people navigate the challenges everywhere in every part of our life that's being thrown at us. So, and just remember that we're all doing this for the right reasons. We really are. We know hemp can help people. We know it can clothe, we know it can feed, we know it can shelter, but we also know it can heal and give that natural relief. And after all these studies that we begged for many years, we're going to find out that this plant is extremely valuable in keeping folks naturally healthy. So just remember that our biggest challenge, and I even say this from the association, is to educate the consumer to a point that there is that consumer loyalty. And they want that full spectrum hemp oil, that smokable product, or whatever it is, even a topical that they're rubbing on their muscles. They want that in their daily regimen every day, just like a supplement. And so we're challenged with that all the time, because I want Carolina Hemp Company to sell all sorts of products along with everybody else, but I want there to be consumer confidence. So in getting consumer confidence and consumer loyalty, just know that when we do this Southeast Hemp Association, we are going to raise the bar and raise the standards. And certain retailers will have that Southeast Hemp Association stamp, and they're going to be high. And this company will have no problem meeting them, because Brian and I have been talking about them for years. Compliant packaging, traceability, you guys have already got that. And if we have to move to an open container law to move forward in proactive hemp legislation and don't have to fight law enforcement anymore, we'll do it. I mean, we really will. We'll consider it. We'll do it, because more than anything, I want more time to help all the farmers and the processors and everybody that makes the supply chain work. So again, I probably rambled on too long, but let me say a few other things if I can. Just know that a few other products are going to come our way that it might seem that we should work them into our product catalog. And you probably know what I'm going to talk about next, because it's caused me a lot of problems being the executive director over the past couple of weeks, and that's Delta 8. Now, Delta 8 comes along And even though it's not in the legislation anywhere that it's against, to have a product with Delta 8 in it, with that Delta 9 in it, it becomes a problem. And law enforcement is already way ahead of it and has the state lab testing all sorts of Delta 8 vape cartridges. So just to hold an honest, open discussion, I am definitely worried about anybody that gets into it until they stand back and see what happens, because it's not that Carolina Hemp Company couldn't be part of creating a pure Delta 8 cartridge or any other Delta 8 product. It's the bad actors get involved so fast, and these bad actor products end up in other places and they ruin it for all of us. And I think this is going to be an example of one of them. So I would really caution you on that, and Brian knows how I feel about it. But just in closing, thank you for being here today, and thank you for believing in hemp. I still do wholeheartedly, and you'll see us push for diversifying on the plant, but more importantly, getting opportunities intact for growers, processors, retailers, and other businesses that become sustainable. So no one has to go through a million emails or answer 1,000 phone calls. We don't want that anymore. I want folks to be able to just have a business plan, be able to stick to it as this business change and grows, finding some real reliable partners. And all of you guys have made the right move in that by being with the best hemp company around. So congratulations on being here today. Thanks so much for listening. And you can go to our website, ncindhemp.org, to learn more information. And in a month, it will be southeasthempassociation.org. So, but I'm sure Brian and everybody else can update you on all the stuff we'll be doing going forward. And please email me or reach out to me if